Welcome to the first episode of Punch and Play, a music blog focused on Texas country music. Today we have Jay Downing. He's joining us. He's a current traveling musician in the country music industry. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Well, let's see. I've got about 30 years in music. Play guitar, marching band. I've done it all. Switched to bass in high school, and I've been playing bass ever since. So about 25 years playing bass.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the walls kind of tell
Yeah.
a bit of that story. Lots of fun musical instruments all around us.
Yeah.
Just lots of equipment, really.
Yeah. And this is only half of it.
Awesome. Well, what kind of band would you describe yourself as being in right now?
So I think we're traditional country.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So I think the region calls it Rocky Mountain Country. Not sure what that is. The current band that I'm in has like a rock rhythm section, so it's a little bit heavier country. I think the Rocky Mountain Country has that little bit more of an edge to it.
Yeah.
A rock edge. So the lead singer's he's definitely traditional country, old school country, and the guitar players and the fiddle player are traditional country, classically trained, and then we have a rock rhythm section, which I think gives it that little bit of an edge. I think that really for this area is kind of what country music is for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the Rocky Mountain genre within itself makes sense just because of what's coming out of Wyoming and Colorado right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, how would you describe Texas country versus Nashville country?
Well, I don't know a lot about Texas country. I know that Texas country is kind of in its own world, so to speak. Texas itself is huge, so it seems like the Texas musicians travel in Texas. They don't really get outside of Texas. They play. I think you've heard the term red dirt country. Red dirt.
Yeah.
I'm not quite really sure what the difference is. It seems to me like the red dirt or Texas country music is a little bit more swing, a little bit more bluesy, and a lot more traditional. That's all I really know about it. They're in their own world.
Yeah.
And when we travel down there, we play. I think our rock edge is a little bit different than what they're doing. Now Nashville country, same thing. Those are pros, just like the Texas guys, but those guys do it for a living. So I think really the only difference is where Texas is, they have their bands and they travel within Texas. Nashville, they travel everywhere. But they could play with multiple artists.
Mm-hmm.
Nashville seems to be a little more pop. So the pop country that you hear on the radio is more Nashville.
Yeah.
Where the Texas country is more traditional. You don't hear a lot of the Texas guys on the radio.
Yeah.
Even though the Texas guys might have record deals, they don't necessarily travel outside of Texas and do the pop country.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's almost like Nashville has two different genres within itself of like you've got Dolly and Reba, these prolific old characters that are very traditional country.
Sure.
But then you have this new age, very pop country sound coming out of Nashville.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, that was lovely. I like the way you described that. So, like, who do you think are like the characters of Texas music right now?
Co Wetzel, Aaron Watson. That's the Texas sound for sure.
Yeah.
Cody Johnson's a big Texas guy. He's one of the guys that have broken out of Texas and are nationally touring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I'd say even Co is really starting to push national tours more than just touring in Texas.
Yeah, and he's a perfect example of what the Texas sound is.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. He even has that rock edge, but it's different from the way your band sounds. It's almost more like a punk rock edge.
Right. Yes, I agree. Yep. Yeah, it's definitely hardcore.
So from the perspective of being a musician, is it different to play with Texas bands or in Texas than it is playing, you know, in the rest of the country.
Absolutely. More so with the crowds.
Yeah.
So with the traditional Texas red dirt country music, they're used to, it seems, at least in my opinion, they're used to the sit-down crowds. Mm-hmm. They're used to the traditional crowds that are there to enjoy the show, maybe do some line dancing, where it seems with the band that I'm touring with, we go down there, we have that hard rock edge. The crowds are looking at us like, we don't know what to think of this. You know, so it's almost like we're too hard-edged for them in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Yeah. Who do you think are the people that really, at the core of the Texas music movement, like the audience, what appeals to them, what their values are that draws them into Texas country music?
Well, that's a good question. Family, for sure. It seems like the Texas, you know, traditional music is more family oriented, for sure. Yeah. They really have that family value.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And a lot of Texans. I mean, a lot of Texans.
Yeah. Yep. And they love Texas.
They created their own music scene.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So what do you think the future is going to hold for Texas country?
Texas country? I don't know. I don't see it. Besides the few breakout bands that, you know, like Aaron Watson and Co. Wetzel and Cody Johnson, it doesn't seem like they're interested in expanding. They're happy playing in Texas.
Yeah.
They love playing in Texas.
Yeah.
So I don't see the music scene really changing that much. I mean, look at it this way. They haven't changed in, you know, 50, 60 years. Why would they change now?
Yeah.
And that's just my opinion.
This is true.
Yeah.
It seems like it's gained a lot of popularity over the past 5 years. Like some really big artists have actually come out of Texas.
Right.
Like Cody Johnson and
yeah. Right.
So it'll be interesting to see if they start changing the way things are, or if they just, you know, keep to Texas.
Right. I have a feeling they're going to stay in Texas.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Jay.
No problem.
This is Punch and Play. Thank you.